Welcome back to the Automation Podcast. My name is Shawn Tierney from the Automation Blog and School. And this week on the Automation Podcast, I meet up with Jeff Holcomb from Mettler Toledo to learn all about their automation-focused weigh-in indicator, the IND360 Compact Automation Indicator. And it's really cool, so I hope you enjoy this episode. But before we get to that, I do have to thank our sponsor who makes this episode possible, theautomationschool.com. If you know anybody who needs PLC, HMI, or SCADA training, please send them over to theautomationschool.com. And now let's jump into Jeff's presentation all about the IND360. Jeff, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate having you on to talk about the IND360. I'm excited to learn more about it. Looks like a great product. But before we jump into your presentation, could you first tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Shawn, for inviting me. I'm Jeff Holcomb. I'm the industrial market manager for automation for Mettler Toledo in the industrial division. I've been in the automation business for 44 years. 43 of those years have been with Mettler Toledo. I am an American by birth, and I moved to Switzerland here about 27 years ago. So I'm working in the headquarters at Mettler Toledo since 27 years. So I'm helping coach the company with automation topics and making sure that our products are absolutely correct for the automation market.
That's awesome. What a great history. And let's hear about this product. This looks really interesting. I know we covered it on our morning show when the press release came out, but I'm dying to learn more about it.
Yeah, this is one of our newest products. This is one of our newest indicators. Some people call them terminals, but we call them indicators because Mr. Google says that's what's more popular. So the 360 is what we call a compact automation indicator. It's kind of like mean and lean, right? There's not a ton of application in it. It does the automation job better than many of the products that we have in the portfolio. So getting into the presentation here. Here's the basis of a weighing system. You have an indicator, and that indicator will connect to any type of scale, like a bench scale, a floor scale, or even a tank scale. And then that indicator would bind one of those scales to an automation system. And here we've got Beckhoff and Siemens and Rockwell and Emerson as examples. So this is what a basic weighing system looks like. This is only half the equation. The other half is the scale itself. And even though I've got scales on here, you can connect IND360 to load cells, right? And if you've got existing scales in your facility, you can connect those as well.
That was my question too, because some people may want to upgrade the display, but not replace the scale.
Right, absolutely. And what we've done is the mounting for this display that you see here replaces our existing IND 131, 331. So you can one-for-one replace it if you built one of those.
Nice. So same cutout, just drop in replacement.
Exactly. That makes it a lot easier for panel builders and guys like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our customers, they really want to weigh everything from small pills all the way up to very big silos weighing thousands of tons. And we try to help them to weigh everything from the smallest thing up to the biggest thing in terms of tons of capacity down to readability in the microgram range. So we covered kind of this whole thing based on what customers really want from a weighing system. And then what we do is we've got three technologies that we support. We support the traditional analog strain gauge technology. That gives us the most capacity, best value in terms of price. We support that in many ways. Then we have our power cell technology that adds a microprocessor and makes that load cell a little bit smarter. And we use a CAN interface on that load cell, so you can build a network of load cells, right? So we've got analog, we've got power cell, and precision. And what precision does is it adds an electromagnetic force restoration sensor to the scale to give it even more precision, so you get higher accuracy. And if you look in the corner of this chart, we've got the weights, measures, types of resolutions that you need, and we've got the fit for purpose that we can expand the readability of our products up into the hundreds of thousands of digits, right? So this is actually the precision that you will see on the automation network. Hey everyone, I just want to break in here for a moment to thank our sponsor who made producing this episode possible, theautomationschool.com. If you know anybody who needs PLC, HMI, or SCADA training,
please ask them to consider theautomationschool.com. And now back to Jeff's excellent presentation on the IND360.
So we touch the factory in many different ways, from logistics to QC to production to packaging to outbound shipping. We don't connect 360 to vehicle scales because we've got other products that do that. But generally speaking, inside the building, inside of production, we can cover any application. And then we've got two types of IND360s. One is the transmitter part. A lot of our customers just want to have a machine, have lots of sensors like temperature, pressure, and so weight into their controller, and they'll do all the algorithms inside their controller themselves. So we support that. And we support that with a very fast integration. That integration runs at 960 hertz if you're using an analog sensor. Some customers want us to do part of the job. So what we do is we move some of the application into the transmitter to actually help the customer run their process faster. So we're supporting both of those as a transmitter and as a terminal. So we cover both.
So on the left here, we're seeing the high-end automation transmitter. We basically have a readout 0.00. We have some other things on the screen, and that's going to send out the information. In the picture, we have like a compact Logix or any PLC. It's going out to that. But on the right-hand side, it looks like we have like a tank and we have a bar graph. This is the compact automation terminal, same
Right.
form factor, but it looks like you've added some graphic and some HMI features to it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely. So when the operators are walking around, they can actually see the application running. They can see the weight going up on the display. They can see the process running as it goes through its various cycles.
Yeah,
So
I can
that-
definitely see from here, 360, what does that mean? Like
It covers everything
36.
360 degrees.
Yeah, well, but 36% full, that means a lot more to me than the raw scaled value, right? Because it could be a 10,000 gallon tank, it could be a 5,000. You could have 10,000, max for a filled container on a scale. So I love that. That's great. And these both fit in the same hole, but the two different part numbers. You have the base, and then you have the application. Got it. All right, I think I'm up to speed.
So basically, it's like an app. You can add the app to the base unit and get this
Nice.
kind of functionality. So a lot of our customers, they start with the base one and then they move to the one with the app because they like to see the data.
That's great that you can change that after the fact too, that you can buy the upgrade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we go to this, these are kind of the four key applications that we take care of. We do filling and dosing.
Mm-hmm.
The filling and dosing, this is one where we really help customers. We can help them fill about 3 times faster than they're filling right now. If they build all the application into our product, then they can hook that to the PLC. They can let us do our part, and when we're finished, we'll tell them what's happened. And I'll show you that in a minute. We do rate control. A lot of the batch filling is moving to rate control, so we take care of that. We do tank vessels. So as you said before, you see the data on the display, and we will tell you if you're under limits or over limit, and we'll tell you how your sensors are doing. If you have a power cell network, how the load is distributed through the network, right? So the operators can actually see that. And they can also see that on the PLC. And then we have a dynamic application. We do a lot of work in freight, parcel, and logistics. And those packages that you see in this graphic are weighed dynamically. So we can capture that weight dynamically. And with the 360, we can weigh up to 5 packages on one belt, depending on the length of the belt and the size of the packages. So there's a relationship there.
That's very cool. I want to go back to rate control though, because the other ones they seem very obvious and clear. Rate control. So if you can't control the fill rate, you control the rate of what is being filled, like a conveyor belt or cars,
Right.
or is that? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, a lot of materials they'll constantly fill. Right, our customers will, okay, from 8 o'clock in the morning till X, I'm going to let this material flow at this rate per hour. So we monitor that, and we can actually control the speed of the conveyor or the screw feeder or whatever they're using to feed to get that material to the destination. So
to make sure it's consistent. All right, got it.
Absolutely. And a lot of our customers are moving to that because in batch processing, if you mess up a batch, then you have to dispose of it or you have to recycle it. And with rate control, the chances of an error are less, And if you do have a problem, you don't have much material involved. So a lot of our customers are moving in that direction.
Nice.
Yeah. So for those applications like filling, what we've done is we've built the application into S88 state machine. So when you're controlling our part with your PLC, you give us a go signal, we'll start, we'll go through the process, and we'll tell you when they're complete, because a lot of filling applications are applications that are repetitive, right? So you fill and then you fill again and you fill again and fill again. And that we just do that over and over. So if you tell us fill 1,000 times, we do that, and then we tell you when we're finished.
Yeah, for those listening, if you don't know what ISA 88 is, PAC-ML, a lot of people use that same terminology for these state machines. And I know Rockwell they have their own language that they do in their Logix controllers that does that. And the name is skipping me right now. But so IS88, a lot of people associate that with batching in PAC-ML with the state machine. So I just wanted to clarify. We do have a lot of people listening who aren't watching, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. And this device is not really doing batching, it's doing filling. So it's single instances of material handling, right? So this is kind of batching at the lowest level.
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, so then we go into this. In weighing, if you want the best results, you need 4 factors. One factor is speed. Speed gives you productivity. It makes your machines run faster. It makes your production lines run faster. It makes you make more products. But speed alone isn't the end of the story. You need determinism. You need the weight values in your PLC at predictable instances. In addition, what you need is this, what we call it dynamic filtering or electronic filtering. So the weight information could be influenced by vibratory feeders, forklifts running back and forth through the factory, many causes, external causes of vibration into the system that you really didn't plan for, you really don't want, and you don't want it in your weighing result because that would give you inaccuracy. So we have the ability to adjust those filters on the fly in the product, or you can do that by the PLC. You can do this through the PLC interface. So you can start with one filter and switch it to another if you like. And then finally, with filtering, you have to be careful because the more filtering you get, the higher the latency is. So the time that you put the material into the scale and you see the result is critical, especially if you're doing filling applications. So we look at all 4 of these and we try to optimize all 4 of these simultaneously. You know, on other weighing products, you might find out they optimize the speed, but then they have high latencies and things. So we look at all of that, and all of that in the 360 has been taken care of.
So this is kind of done automatically, but if I had 2 different products, let's say I have a very light product that's high volume and I'm running that, but every once in a while I run a high, I'm thinking like boulders, right? Very, I occasionally, I'm typically running maybe gravel, but then I'm doing larger rocks. There's going to be a lot more vibration, and I may have to slow down to get a more accurate weight because of that vibration. And this is something I can do with your product.
Right. And if you want to, you can set the filter differently from your gravel to your boulders, right?
Yep.
You can set the filters differently. And that's all controlled by PLC.
Nice.
So first you can look at the settings, and then second you can reset them depending on the application. And what we see with some products is during the day that the motion or the vibration may change due to whatever's going on the site, right? But we try to track that as much as possible and try to eliminate it.
Hey everybody, just a quick word from a sponsor, theautomationschool.com. They made this week's episode possible. They underwrote our costs. And so if you have anybody at your facility who needs to learn Control Logics, Compact Logics, Micro Logics, Micro 800, PanelView Plus, VUSC, S7 1200 or 1500 PLCs, then please consider theautomationschool.com. They do a lot of things that other online training universities don't do, including they include interviews with experts from the factory. They also have no expiration date. So once you sign up your employee, they're in the course forever. They can come back as many times as needed. They also include with group enrollment a student tracking webpage. If you find a student that hasn't taken the courses and they're not interested in it, you can swap that student out for free. So if you're interested in any of these options, or you know anybody who needs training on those products, please ask them to visit theautomationschool.com. And with that, back to the show.
And then Enclosure sizes, we've shown up until now the panel display, but a lot of our customers don't want to display because they have dark factories, right? So you can take a 360 in a DIN enclosure, you can shove it in an enclosure and close the door, and that's it. It still has the same functions. You just don't get the visualization. So a lot of our customers want to do this, and we offer the capability to do that. If you want to add a display, you can do that. We say 3 meters distance from the display to the actual DIN unit, but we can go a lot farther than that.
So I'm thinking of how to describe this to the audio audience. It's like having the back of your HMI just unplug and plop it on a DIN rail, and you can run it headless without the display. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Wow, nice.
If you want to put the display on the door, then you just have the cable to the DIN enclosure.
Now, let me ask you this. It looks like there's 2 different modules that actually sit on the display. So when you take them off, both of these will be on the DIN rail. Is one coming in from the load cells and the other going out to the PLC or device? Is that what those are?
Good question. This is actually a power supply that you see here.
Oh, all right.
We have the capability. If you look in the bottom corner, you see the panel with the optional AC power supply.
That's it.
Take those 2 bits, you turn them 90 degrees, and you can stick them on the back of the display. So if you want kind of like a modular unit that's got everything together, you can do that. There's a DIN rail on the back of that display that you see.
Oh,
and
all right.
Click it on the back of there if you like.
Nice.
So we have customers that sometimes they want the DIN enclosure alone, sometimes they want a display that the operators can see it. It depends on the orders that they get from their customers, right?
Sure.
And then we have this wall mount that you can mount onto a VESA bracket. So this normal VESA that you use for is on the back of this enclosure. So for customers that want to do hygiene and wash down and things like that, we've got a harsh enclosure. And all the boards and everything are the same in the enclosures.
Yeah, that's your standard television mount. Like if anybody's mounted your television to the wall, that VESA or VESA 100 is a standard hole pattern on the back.
Yeah, it's kind of like 4-inch hole pattern.
Yep.
So we offer all those, so the customer can choose what they want. So all the functions and features are the same between them. And then if you go to the display, one of the issues that we have with our products is approvals. The outside agencies come to us and they look at our products to make sure that they fit the weights and measures approvals, because a lot of our customers sell to the public or are regulated by weights and measures agencies. So on these displays, we have to have the information in the right form, in the right size, right color. Everything has to be perfect and it is really inspected by weights and measures people, right? And that's in the United States and Canada, Mexico, all over Europe, all over Asia. We've kind of harmonized this, that it all passes the regulations, which is a big deal.
So this is the information on if you're selling to the public, there's certain information they have to be able to see to know that they're getting their, 100 kilograms of product. And if you're listening, I know a quarter of our audience listens. The display has everything. I can't think of anything else I'd want on there. I love that the IP address is up in the top left, though. That is so helpful. And the time and date is on the top right. Very small, but it's there.
Yeah, it's small. Some people want to have it. They want it with a weight because in Europe, we have to do what's called an alibi function. That means every recorded weight gets a timestamp on it. And they're individual and they're marked and they're put into a special file. So the time and date have to be perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. So the alibi also works for other countries as well, in that if you want to know what happened, if you want a record of what happened during the day, you can actually pull that file and use that to find out if anything went wrong. So
yeah, I can imagine, especially if like a very large order went through, but the payment didn't go through. You may want to find out for the security camera what time that happened. Yeah.
So we export that through a TCP/IP connection.
Okay.
So in the chemical industry, especially in the chemical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and some of the food industry, we're in hazardous areas. There's a risk of an explosion, either by dust or by gas. And so what the 360 does is if you mount it in a customer approved enclosure, then we have this Division 2 or zone ATEX zones 2 and 22, right? We have the approvals for that in Asia, in Europe, and in the US.
Nice.
It's the panel unit, the DIN unit have to be in an enclosure, a special enclosure, or outside the hazardous area. And the harsh unit is self-contained, so it's approved as a box, right? So then for more critical applications, where the explosion risk is greater, for zones 1 and 21, Division 1, we also have barriers. And those barriers are made by Mettler Toledo. And the reason we make our own barriers is we found out that they're more accurate. And we focus on accuracy of the weight. So with our barriers, we can still meet weights and measures approval, and we can still ensure to the customer that the weight that they're getting is correct. Usually third-party barriers don't have that capability. So we can put a barrier on any type of scale from the smallest up to the largest one.
Now, it looks like the barrier could be going directly to one scale, or it could be going to a junction box in the field that has multiple scales going to it. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And for us, we approve the junction boxes as well, because
Okay.
the regulatory officials, they like to see things like that on the paper. Oh, yes, you approved the junction box, even that it's not necessary to do so. So
Okay.
it's another advantage that we give to our customers to make sure that they're safe, because a lot of our customers export equipment, so you don't know what's going to happen on the other side.
Yeah.
So we try to minimize the risk of site acceptance test failing. Yeah. So okay. Then the really cool thing that we've done with this product is we put a web server on it, right? So you don't use the tech manual anymore. You plug it into your PC and you can do everything that you need through the web interface. So you can watch the system running, you can set the whole thing up, you can see how it's set up. You can do this locally or you can do it remotely. And for security issues, if people don't want access due to cybersecurity, you can actually turn off the access to this web interface. So the other thing that we also did, a lot of our customers are programming PLCs and they need to simulate what's going on. Mm-hmm. So the only way to simulate is to have a simulator, which is quite expensive piece of hardware. And what we've done now is we've built that into the web interface, so you can actually simulate how the scales work as you're debugging your system.
I can definitely see that being helpful if you want to monitor monitor the scale from your office. Mm-hmm. Connect to the IND360 and you can see what's going on live. Is that correct? You can see what's going on live?
Absolutely. You can do that through this interface. This is the service interface, or you can do this through the PLC interface as well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. No, very cool. And it has a built-in simulator too. Nice.
Mm-hmm. For all three scale types. It would be very difficult to send a customer a 10-ton tank scale, right? So yeah. Okay, so anyway, the other thing that we do with this web interface is we allow the customers to back up their setup. So once you set it up, you can back it up, and if something goes wrong or you want to clone a unit, you can take the setup and you can move it into other units. We get orders of tens or hundreds of units, and you can set them up simultaneously, actually. So
that's huge, especially if you're doing some of the more fancy features on it. That's huge.
Yeah, and I have a shot from our production when we did the testing, when we originally did the product. We hooked up about 86 of them in the system, and that's how we set the units up. We did it over the interface there like that.
Nice.
Okay, here's my favorite slide in the presentation. Not only do you get the web interface, but you get an automation interface. So we connect to Profinet, we connect to EtherCAT, we connect to Ethernet IP, CC Link IE, Modbus, TCP, and Modbus RTU, and Profibus TP. All those interfaces are certified. So we took the product, we got it certified, and we've got paperwork that says that it's been certified.
So I saw two RJ45s on the back. Is one Ethernet and one serial?
No, that's a great question. If you see next to Profinet and you see next to Ethernet IP, you see the MRP and the DLR, and next to EtherCAT, the ring network. We have the ability to actually daisy chain units.
That's awesome. Oh, and you get the ring there too for EtherCAT. I see that too. So how do you do the serial interfaces to Modbus RTU and Profibus? Do you have a serial port on the back?
It's kind of a one or the other, right? So if you
Oh,
use industrial Ethernet, you're not going to use Modbus or RTU, right?
so if I use Modbus RT, I'm plugging into the same port I would use the Ethernet for?
Hey guys, I just wanted to break in here. Did you know I have another podcast, The Automation Morning Show? Yeah, every day that I'm in the office, I record a 15 to 25-minute show talking about everything new and happening in industrial automation. And you can subscribe to it on the very same platforms that I publish the Automation Podcast to. So if you're interested, check it out, The Automation Morning Show. And with that, back to our show.
Yeah. So it's one or the other. Most customers today are
Or
going
Ethernet.
to industrial Ethernet.
Yeah.
But there are still some that, like, especially in Asia, they love Modbus RTU.
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking like if you're replacing an old display, Modbus RTU, you can go 4,000 feet without amplifiers, right, on 485. So yeah, I mean, it's nice that if you to change out as little as possible. You don't want to have to do a whole Ethernet upgrade, especially you can't go 4,000 feet with Cat 6, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in addition to that, some of our customers also want to use 4 to 20, for either control
Yeah,
or
yeah.
to see what's going on, and we support that as well.
Can you do both?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you can
Nice.
build a ring network, and then you can have this, we see this a lot in pharmaceutical. They have it connected to an Ethernet interface, and then they want to connect to their DCS with 4 to
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. Is that it says optional IO? Does that means optional use, or is that an add-on you have to buy?
That's an add-on, right?
Okay. Yep. I don't
So
think many people would use it, but I can see it. I can see some people wanting it.
yeah, I always think that 4 to 20 is going to go away someday, but it seems to be one of the best-selling automation interfaces still.
I believe it.
Yeah, especially in brownfields and in
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that we do, we don't just have the connectivity, which is kind of embedded into our products. We also support the connectivity, and I've got 3 examples here. We've got more interfaces, but like with Siemens, with Rockwell, and with Beckhoff, we support everything with the drivers. We have sample programming code, we have engineering notes, and we support everything worldwide. So if a customer gets in trouble on a startup somewhere else where the machine goes somewhere else, we can support them locally, right?
So, and for the audio audience, I mean, under Rockwell, they have EDS files, they have add-on profiles, they have faceplates. Right over on the Siemens side, you got your function blocks. So it seems like you guys are, and on the Beckhoff side, of course, you get the sample code. So it seems like, yeah, great support. That's awesome.
But the other thing is that our goal is that somebody can get a system set up in 5 minutes, right? That they can plug in our product and it's up and running in 5 minutes. And we've got have people that do it in like 3 minutes. But if you've got the drivers, you'll find in Studio 5000, for example, that the driver's already in there for IND360. You just plug it in and you're ready to go. So, and if you look at the 2D barcode on this slide, you got the downloads for these files. So you can actually just pull them down from mt.com and they're free.
Nice.
So then here's an example. I kind of made a slide looking at the network. So if you want to build multiple units in a control cabinet, you can just connect these with normal RJ45 connectors, right? So you go to Amazon, you buy a bag full of 10 4-inch RJ45 cables, and you can just click these things all together. It saves a lot of money on switches and wiring and things like that, spacing your control cabinets. So customers really like this.
Yeah, daisy chain the Ethernet, especially if you had a lot of meters a lot of indicators in the panel, you could just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. If you have 50, 60 units in a control cabinet, it's so much easier, and it's very easy to troubleshoot. And you really can't see this on the slides, but there is a small display on the DIN unit. So if there's anything that goes wrong, it will tell you it's me that's having the problem, right?
Oh, that's great. That's a great point. I see it now. So even if you mounted the display remotely, to indicate it remotely, there's a small I see it now. It looks like, yep, I see it. Single line of alphanumeric text there. I got it.
It'll tell you exactly what's going on. And also you have system lights on there too, but it's kind of small in this thing. So when we send the data, this is always the question that we get. Can you do it cyclically or acyclically? cyclically, and we do it both ways, right?
Okay.
Our focus is on sending it cyclically because most automation systems like it that way. Most engineers like the data that way. So when you're using an analog scale, you get a refresh rate of about 960 hertz. The data's on the network at that speed, cyclically.
Nice.
And acyclically, this is not so popular as cyclical data, but some people ask for it from time to time. The other thing that we offer is the ability on a cyclical connection to do acyclic commands. Like when you make a tear command to reduce the weight of the scale,
Oh, yeah.
we allow you to do that cyclically. We'll only take that command once, we'll execute it, and we'll say, hey, we're finished. So that's quite a nice function that we build in. Then this is really cool. You can see a lot of data simultaneously. And I've got some examples in the slide. You can see gross weight, tear weight, net weight simultaneously. You can look at rate with the weight simultaneously. So you don't have to really sort through data. You can just get this in one block. And with a power cell system, you can actually look at the individual load cells, right? And that update rate's 100 hertz. So if you're worried about a load cell going bad or misbehaving, you can look at those individual load cells. For transport and logistics, for center of gravity, the customers can look at the different load cells and what the relationships are in real time. Right?
So this data is coming in blocks. It's very similar if anybody's used like a VFD with Rockwell. The blocks just come in and it has all this data in it. It looks really good.
Yeah. But the only thing is with Modbus RTU, you can't have this. We use the Modbus protocols, right? So
yeah, so 4,000 and everything's predefined as numbers. Yep.
Right. So we skip that. So the other thing that we do, and we have a white paper we just released on this, is condition monitoring. So not only we're going to give you the weight information, but we're going to tell you that the weight information is valid. You get a heartbeat. We tell you if the scale's in motion, if you're at the real zero, if you're in tear or net. And then we have alerts. Anything goes wrong, like an overload, a shock load, we will send a message to the PLC to tell you that you had that problem. Other thing that we do is we've invented what we call Smart 5. This came from Namor NE107. Namor NE107 has a hierarchical alarming strategy, and we've adopted this into the display. So the operator, when they walk by, they'll see if they have a problem, and it's critical and call service. You have an out of spec or a misoperation on the display. Maybe you need a test to do, but you'll see that on the display. Not only that, you'll see it in the PLC messaging, and you'll look at this as a binary value. And if you see that you have a problem, you can ask the unit what's wrong, and it will tell you, look, I have this as a problem. It's coded, but we also on the display will tell you that the problem is a problem, and then we have a method to solve the problem. So the operator can solve the problem based on the prompts that they see on the display.
Yeah, and I'm seeing stop, call service, wrong stop, test due, all okay. So those are some of the states that you see there. And I also see it listed as IEC 62682, if anybody's unfamiliar with Namor NE107. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's our customers really like it because before we had kind of a flat alarming, right? Every alarm had the same priority, and now this really makes it logical, and they can build this into their automation architecture. Right. So we're talking today about smart factories. Everybody's talked about automation, but one of the things that's happening is this convergence between IT and OT, and we're looking after that now. And so what's happening on 360? This is coming out in probably the end of September. We're adding OPC-UA over Profinet and Ethernet IP. So a customer will be able to serve the IT and the OT simultaneously. So they can basically just push the data wherever they want. So this is something new. This is something exciting. And I think we're one of the first companies that do it on the same network. So it's on the automation network. We also are following what's called the OPC-UA companion specification for weighing. So there is a specification that all weighing manufacturers will follow in the future for OPC-UA. So
that's huge. Is that an upcharge or is that just built in when it comes out?
Yeah, you have to get the Ethernet, and then it's a small charge.
Okay.
It's a couple $100, right? It's not anything expensive. If you buy an Edge gateway, you're up in the thousands. This is a small add-on to the product, right? And we've gotten good feedback from our customers. We've got customers that are testing this, and they're quite happy. The first implementation is going to be the standard, weight, gross tear net, and condition monitoring, that kind of thing. And as we add applications, we'll add functions to the OPC-UA based on the companion specification.
Yeah, I know Siemens has added OPC-UA to their PLCs, and this is great to have it in the indicator, just right built in as an option.
Yeah, and if you guys go to the automation fair in Boston, we're going to have a demo unit there. We're going to have it running, and you can see how it's working in that system.
That's awesome. I hope to be there because it's actually only 2.5 hours away. So maybe you can give me a demo, or whoever's there can give me a demo.
I'm going to try to be there, but it's about 8.5 hours for me to get there. Right.
On an airplane. I just came back from Ireland, so I know about those long flights.
Yeah, I've made that trip about 150 times back and forth to the States.
I believe it.
So anyway, in addition to that, we're adding the REST API to the to PC interface, right? A lot of our customers want a very simple way to connect to their PC. You talked about serial before, but we're seeing that customers more and more want to use a TCP/IP connection. So we're adding a REST API to that connection as well. And in next year, in 2024, we will be adding MQTT to this system as well. So in setup, you'll be able to choose between OPC-UA and MQTT.
Nice.
Yeah, so we want to cover all the connectivity. We want to cover all the automation connectivity and all of the IT connectivity for going forward. The nice thing is, I didn't mention this, but Profinet, Ethernet IP, EtherCAT, CC-Link IE, those are software selectable. There's no hardware cards or anything like that in the unit. You just pick which one you want. So for those system integrators that are working with multiples, then they have a choice.
That's a great trend. I love that trend. I'm glad you guys are doing that. I see so many other vendors doing that, and it's a great trend.
Yeah, and the key issue is supporting it, right, and making sure that it all works and it's approved, and that's a challenge, but it's a challenge accepted by us. And what I have here is just an example of what you would see in the OPC-UA connection using a standard set of off-the-shelf software. The text is a little bit dark, so what I've highlighted, you see gross weight, net weight tear, the connection's okay, what action's going on, what the description is, ID, level, and reference. And some of this is prescribed in the companion specification already. So we're meeting those criteria. And then one of the key issues for us is making sure that our stuff works worldwide. So we take care of safety approvals, electrical approvals, RF approvals, radio frequency, hazardous zones. We do all the automation interfaces, environmental interfaces, and then weights and measures. So we have all the paperwork. So those customers that are listening, if you've got a system going somewhere else, we can give you the paperwork. You can just download it from our website to get that information that you need to move the products across the world. In addition, we have technicians. We have about 8,000 technicians and salespeople around the world that can help you to do the integration. So you don't have to put somebody on an airplane and fly them somewhere. We can do that locally. Just call us and we can organize all that. This is really critical with weights and measures. Weights and measures can be the local officials can be very peculiar, and it's nice to have a local guy to talk to them. Then paperwork. What we do is with all of our products is we generate lots of paperwork. So we have the declarations of conformity with Rockwell, with Siemens, and those guys, as I mentioned. We also, with our scales, if you take a terminal and a set of load cells, you don't know what the accuracy is going to be. So what we do is we have a free tool. You can contact us, tell us your application, and we can tell you how accurate the system is going to be. When I was doing support, the first questions that the customer would ask is, how accurate is my system going to be? and we would say, it's weights and measures approved. It's quite accurate. Now we can tell you exactly how accurate your system's going to be, even taking account of temperature changes and items hanging on maybe your tank or so. We can do that. We do that for scales themselves. We do that for the tanks and conveyors, and we can do that. And that's a free service that we offer. So you can take that to your end user customer and show them, okay, based on my construction, this is how accurate the system will be. And then if you use one of our calibration methods when it's on site in the system startup, we can actually give you a certificate of accuracy. We'll tell you once we do the calibration, either hydraulically or with test weights, what the accuracy of the system is. And that you can use as a site acceptance criteria. And that's a worldwide certificate. It meets all the rules worldwide. And then we also do the EX approvals, and you can get certificates and drawings from us for those as well. So it's the load cells and the terminal and the scale for hazardous and weights and measures. Okay, different calibration methods. In terminals, in weighing terminals, people talk about electronic calibration. We don't like to call that calibration, we like to call that adjustment. It basically helps you get the system started up to do a demonstration, but it doesn't really take into account of how the system's working on site. So we offer this electronic calibration. It's called CalFree and CalFree Plus. That's in the IND360. In addition, if you are using test weights, which you should do, you can control all of that from the PLC. So you have an operator adding the weights, and the PLC is basically recording the data and actually adjusting the terminal while you're doing that. A lot of our customers want a record of what happened, and then want the record stored in the system, not on a piece of paper that somebody could lose. So we offer that capability as well. And then security is a big issue. Getting into the unit, so we have different levels of passwords as you go into the unit. So administrator, supervisor, operator. And then we have also files that are available. Once you're up and running, once you're generating data, we have different files. As I mentioned, we have an alibi file, which records every weighing transaction. We have an error log that records any errors. So if you want to find out what went wrong and why it went wrong, you can look in that log. You have events and status. An event is not an alarm. The customer doesn't have to take action, but maybe you want to record it like a shock load. We put that in there. And anytime the software has been changed or the weights and measures, relevant parameters have been changed, those will go into a change log. And you can pull those all up through the TCP/IP interface.
And they're just 4 simple CSV files, and from what's on the screen, they look like exactly what you'd want.
Yeah. If you go to a higher end products, you see more data, bigger files and things like that. But this kind of covers most of the use cases that you're likely to see in automation. Right. And then kind of as a summary of what we've talked about, we see the 360 as immensely boosting productivity with faster weighing. We've got a lot of customers out there that are really excited about this product because we're tripling or quadrupling the speed of what the system is running at. And with a filling, in many cases with a filling system, traditionally you've used 2 speeds. You've had a slow feed and a fast feed. And what's happened with 360, we've had a number of customers that have taken away the slow feed and they're only fast feeding. Right? That means eliminating hardware from the system. So not only do you improve the performance, but you can reduce the cost. And in many cases, you can make the machine smaller because you don't have to have the extra feeding part. It's the smartest way to do the integration because we covered both the automation interfaces and the IT interfaces. We can connect every kind of scale that we manufacture and other manufacturers manufacture. And we can support this whole system, this whole IND360 ecosystem worldwide. So these are the key factors behind IND360.
Yeah, and so the speed of which you can weigh has nothing to do with the load cells per se or the physical. It's just that your electronics are so much better. They're
Mhm.
so much more advanced. Your software is so much more smarter that I could, that's a money maker. I mean, just, hundreds of thousands of dollars more a year by increasing your throughput, maybe millions, just by putting this one little device in and taking out an older device. So, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
huge.
We have customers right now, they actually, they're, using that as their marketing message, right? We
Yeah.
just recently saw a company that's promoting that one feature to their customers, so that they can make their machines run faster. And if you're a machine builder, then you have an advantage over your competitors.
Yeah.
And we're excited about that. And you have to be a little bit careful, Shawn. If you look in specifications, you might see the A to D conversion speed. It might be 60 million hertz or 100 million hertz or whatever.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with this. This is the speed that we put the data on the network, or this is the speed that we're actually controlling the algorithm, right?
Yeah, well, you need time to see what's happening, especially if you have 4 load cells on a tank. It takes time or a bin takes time, but that comes down to your algorithm and how well your you can say, hey, this is the actual weight given what's happening, and a lot of these objects, they don't sit still. The stuff is sloshing around. But if you have a great algorithm, you can get that real weight faster. And like I said, I could see a lot of companies who may be marginally profitable could go to very profitable just by being able to put more product through the production line, way more stuff faster.
Right. So we actually, if you decentralize, if you let us do part of this, especially with the filling, your PLC can go off and do something else,
Oh
or you
yeah.
can use a lower cost PLC. That's the other option.
Well, yeah, and you're reducing complexity because you're just saying this is going to give me the right weight. I don't need any code to address any of the issues that may have came up with a less sophisticated system.
Right. So the customers that like simple. This is a simple one. We've got more
Yeah.
complicated products. We've got more functions and features, but this is kind of the essence of the automation
Mm,
piece.
excellent. Well, I learned so much about this product. It's even better than I thought it was from reading the press release. So
Thank
that
you.
was
Thank
a
you.
great present. Did you have anything else to go through, Jeff?
No, this would be it now.
Well, I really want to thank you for coming on. I learned so much. I think you're going to see a lot of our audience reaching out to you're a global company reaching out to you worldwide to learn more about this, especially in those applications where, whether it's a new application or they're trying to speed up an old application, can definitely see a lot of interest in this product. And I commend MT for you guys for supporting all those protocols. It's just a great trend in the industry. And congratulations on OPCUA coming out soon and MQTT coming out next year. Those are both very hot topics as well. So really appreciate you coming on the show, and thank you for bringing us up to speed on it.
Okay. Thank you, Shawn.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I want to thank Jeff for taking time out of his busy schedule to come on and tell us all about the IND360. What a cool product. With that said, if you did enjoy this episode, please consider giving us a like and a sub. And if you want to follow me or get in touch, you can do so over at automation.locals.com. You'll also find all of my training courses over at this week's sponsor's website, theautomationschool.com. And with that, I just want to wish you all a very happy, safe, and healthy week. And until next time, my friends, peace.